How's it going, friends? I want to talk about some of the best video clips from the Russo-Ukrainian War. Now, I'm not going to show anything graphic or gory, so this will be family friendly. Now, when you see videos on social media, it doesn't matter if it's from the Ukrainian side or the Russian side, they tend to be edited to show the other side in the worst light possible. So for me, the videos that are the best are the ones that provide us with the most information. In this video clip, we see Ukrainian soldiers assaulting a Russian trench network. They're being delivered by American Humvees. This is an acronym for High Mobility Wheeled Vehicles. The Humvees drop off the Ukrainians and drive away. I can only assume that they're going to pick up more infantry to bring to this combat. Now, this video unfortunately ends before we see any resolution. So we don't know if these Ukrainians actually capture this trench network. But the information we can take from this is that despite all the technology, all the advancements, it still boils down to dudes shooting at other dudes at very close range with Kalashnikov rifles. Some of the Ukrainians have Armalite rifles, but close range combat with assault rifles. I mean, you can see it. Guys throwing grenades and firing their assault rifles. The next video shows a classic Grad launcher. It looks like a Soviet BM-21. These are super common. Russia and Ukraine both have huge amounts of these. They seem to both have an endless supply of Grad rockets. Much of the third world seems to have an endless supply of Grad rockets. But something lands next to this that creates a massive explosion. And the way this video has been presented on social media is that an American heavy artillery rocket, GPS guided, aka a HIMAR rocket, has landed next to this. And normally, we would see a video like this, and you would just see an explosion, and then it would end. But in this case, despite this massive explosion, the Grad launcher keeps firing Grad rockets. And so maybe it was damaged, maybe the tires are flat, but not enough to stop it from launching these rockets. And so that's just really impressive. Now, during the past week, during the Ukrainian offensives, we've seen a lot of pictures and videos of armored vehicles being damaged and blown up and on fire, and essentially being in a clump. And people want to know, what is the reason why these vehicles are in a clump? Well, this video tells us a lot. So here we see two American Humvees. One appears to have hit a giant anti-tank mine, and the other one initially looks like it's fleeing the scene. Now, a lot of times the video would end here, and this is all we would see. But in this case, we get a lot more information because this is being filmed from two different angles, and we're going to see what happens after the initial explosion. All right, so here's the American Humvee. We can see the back end is trashed. We can see the dudes crouching around it. They're using the vehicle to take cover. And then, bam, the other Humvee comes back, machine gun blazing. Now, okay, this is the Humvee that hit the mine. And so this is like a GoPro camera on the gunner. And so he's blasting away at something, and then pretty soon, bam, they hit the mine. So here you see the whole scenario from a completely different angle. Now, pretty soon this guy stumbles out of the Humvee. This is a pretty extraordinary Humvee. I mean, it's not very often that you see something like this from two completely different angles. So he's being pulled out. The guys made it out of the Humvee. Some of these Humvees, there's different versions, and some of them can be extremely well armored. And so despite the fact that that explosion was so big, it looks like all of the Ukrainians made it out alive. And so now the guy who was the gunner, his GoPro camera shows, he appears to be shooting off rounds from an assault rifle using the vehicle as cover. And pretty soon here it comes. And you can see the machine gun at the top is blazing away. So the other Humvee is providing cover. And then the gunner rushes into that Humvee, and it becomes like the clown car gag where a huge amount of dudes into a tiny car. But essentially, they're evacuating the people from the first Humvee. But you can see how this would go south very easily. So if another armored vehicle came back to rescue the crew from the first armored vehicle, but then they also got disabled, then it could start to build up. And then more armored vehicles could come in to rescue crew, and then they could be disabled. And then that's how you end up with a giant cluster of 9 or 10 vehicles all disabled in like a tightly packed circle. The final segment is more positive. I want to talk about rebuilding as opposed to people shooting each other and destroying stuff. So one of my hobbies for the past year has been watching the rebuilding of the city of Mariupol. And there's an extraordinary amount of videos on YouTube where you can see week by week the city being rebuilt. And it's absolutely extraordinary. And to think that last April, Russia and Ukraine could have come to a resolution, but there were certain people who were opposed to that. We could see all of Ukraine being rebuilt right now. Instead, we see much of Ukraine being destroyed even more. But Mariupol is vibrant, it's alive, it's being rebuilt at an extraordinary pace that I personally have been shocked to watch at how fast this city has come back alive. Now, Kiev officially claims that there's hardly anyone living in the city, and that the new construction is just Russian military bases. But you can go on YouTube and you can see it. The city is vibrant. There's city buses full of people. They just started the trolley cars again. There's trolley cars. You can't even believe how much better the city looks now compared to what it looked like 1 year ago. So click the like button, post a comment below, tell me what you think about this, and please subscribe to my backup channels on Odyssey, BitChute, and Rumble. And please consider making a contribution on Subscribestar or Patreon, and click the subscribe button. New video every few days.